good sign for you.
And then I take a picture of her on
God
the
willing.
shoulder every week.
Well, it's the unfortunate. 50-50, I feel.
I think.
It
is, you're right with your first, yes.
That's very exactly. Well, yeah, when how closer she gets to 100, it's a good average.
Do these go out? Like as postcards or whatever?
Not very many people here.
It's early, it's only 6:21.
Yeah, they come strolling in right at dinner time.
And that would be perfectly fine with me.
Well, you know.
We know that won't be the case, because one of them's sitting out in the parking lot.
Oh, are they?
One of them. Okay, so.
I gotta go take some medicine
As long as it
anyway.
doesn't have worried about.
I know, why does it do
It's
that?
the witching hour, and if I don't take it, I turn into a pumpkin.
I mean, can you turn into a coach? Because that would be better.
A cheerleading coach? I wish I could. I would love to do it, but I can't get out of work at that time.
So Sunday.
I saw that.
after-
How did you know about that?
No, I don't know. I was just thinking,
Oh.
because you said you turn into a pumpkin and Cinderella is a coach. You know, the pumpkin turns into a coach.
Yeah.
So I was like, that'd be fun.
And,
Oh, that would be
I had talked to her probably.
All right,
Told her about
I'm gonna
this.
have to go use the bubbler.
She was crying, and she said.
Oh, no.
Sometime in.
Don't wanna lose that.
Anyway, it gave, and that was the first time I had met Andy, although I, had postcards done by now. But, I asked him about, the possibility of printing on signs, and he said it probably cost you just as much to get new ones. And so, funny, today I got a thing from Signs on the Cheap, I think is where we got our signs, for 200 of them. They'd be $242 a piece, and I didn't think that was bad at all, because I think each time I bought them $500 for 75. But the more you have printed, the less the price is. So
Sure what that's.
yeah,
Or you can sell
yeah,
it, to cover
yeah.
the cost.
So it's just communicating that.
Yes.
Is,
So this will go out in the mail. That communicates our coffee sessions and these 2 dates. And this one. And these are dates that I give myself present for. Board should be there if they can, but or a member or two. But I picked these based off of just availability of myself.
and this one is in conjunction with Uni Group.
Yep.
So did you get feedback from him on his presentation that he did last
He
week?
shared with me.
Did he feel that it was
He
really
felt.
well received? Or?
Yeah, yes. He felt like the first was better of the 3. He's done 3. He did one like back to school week. And I think that was fresh and new, and it was the biggest group was like 100 people in this high school. And then he had like maybe 40 in this one. So it's gone down every time.
Yeah.
And he expects it to get better as you go through because you're kind of sharing your information. And nothing changes meeting to meeting.
Yeah.
It's,
Just so I
ours
can
is
see. Right.
pretty much the same once you hear the shtick. You gotta get the gist of it. And it's not a whole lot of glamour to it. It's,
Hi,
You want to also mention that the date on the top of the numbers.
So I have to ask, is your hair naturally curly?
Yes, ma'am.
I had to give you, it's sort of like Where's Waldo?
I'm
So
Heather.
Where's Waldo of our
Nice to meet you.
agendas? Can you find me there?
I'm Heather Osner. Oh, I put my trespass in the car. Damn it. I put it in the car, so it was all in the car. Anyway, I'm with the Racine County Eye website.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll sign it.
Well, welcome. I think I've seen you here before.
Oh, yeah.
Heather,
Yep.
Racine County Eye website.
Trying to make stuff. All right.
I am a mom.
Do you want these now, or do you want these?
Oh, what grade?
He's in 6th grade.
Yep. Are there just a couple?
Yep. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. Hey Ed,
Shoot, I don't know that my-
Hi,
how are ya?
I'm okay, I think. I'm not sure yet.
Callie,
Yeah.
do you have more just single agendas?
Yes. Am I?
Here's an agenda, just for me.
Yeah, that one's for you.
Yep.
That one is just for
I can go
you.
grab some, are you out?
No, I'll go grab them.
Okay. You need to sign that, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
There's only a couple that need to be signed and then so did I, and I arranged my entire day around leaving at 5. So then I was like, oh, let me check
Treasurer's
this
report.
one last time, to make sure like, I
Probably
know
need to
when I.
sign that.
Yeah, ER.
I was like 6:30.
Where you are, ER.
Damn it.
Right?
I don't know why I thought, we both just were saying we thought the meeting started at 5:30.
We have 1 at 5:30 workshop. First
Yeah,
meeting,
I mean, it's not you, it's definitely
and then
us.
at 6:30.
It's us.
First meeting, yeah.
Hi, Janelle.
Hi there, how are you?
Hello, sir.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, hi, nice suit.
So yeah, the first is 5:30,
was that?
30, 6:30.
The show on Saturday. Around meeting at 5. And then I was like, let me check the agenda one last time to make sure I know what I'm taking notes on. And then I was like, damn it.
Yeah. She's grabbing more.
Excellent. Am I allowed to sit in the front row? or-
Yeah, please.
Absolutely not.
It's like church. Come on.
I
know.
stole one of the chairs so
thing.
I can
You
write.
get extra points, right?
Yeah, with the
Like
big guy,
church?
yeah.
Absolutely, 100%.
I mean, if you walk in and the lights flicker, that's a sign that happens quite a lot.
Oh,
They
no.
shut down when I come to.
What's that?
So, Ray,
Yeah, you tithed.
I can't see her here, so I like to be close.
Well, you might catch some overspray.
yeah,
We try not to.
no kidding.
We try not to.
I think it only affects females, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Are you sick?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. My daughter's sick and so is one of my friends.
Yeah.
Well, my daughter teaches high school, so she's around like germ factories all day.
That's my responsibility.
And it's only on girls.
Are we like this? Are we doing this?
Yeah.
So it's it's girl cooties. We're immune.
Yeah, it is. It prefers girls.
We're immune. We're immune.
Yeah.
You gotta worry. Well, we're fine.
Nope.
No, it's only
it
girls
likes
catching
us.
it.
Oh, it's only getting
My
us?
daughter,
Oh.
my
Okay,
Bob, I know, exactly.
I'm back to this.
I don't wanna live in a world where all the women are taken down, so.
Yeah, no.
That's fine.
They've been on.
It's more of an all.
Well, you know what, I talked to
How was the show?
Oh my gosh, it was so hilarious.
Yeah.
So
Not
I'm
six and a half
cracking
years.
up. No, well, I watched, so when Nikki told me we're going on a date, I was like, oh, I gotta make sure I go.
I missed it.
Did you really? I don't even know what it says, but other people would.
Right, right, right.
It's our, well, we've had,
So,
we have it.
funny,
Camera system we have.
yeah, from our signs on the sheet, where we got our signs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they were, I just plugged in 200, just to see.
But she was good.
Oh, it's so relatable because she's 59 and I was like, she was talking about perimenopause and menopause and I was laughing so hard like my gut hurt. And so she just hit it right on the head. So then I get home at 10 o'clock or whatever. I'm like, she's so funny. And Tanner had went to bed and so I turned on her first one on Netflix or whatever. And he's like, this is really funny. And I'm like, it's so funny. So you've seen her before?
I haven't seen her, I've seen a lot of her content on like Facebook and whatnot, and I laugh her all the time.
Her delivery
So great.
is 80% of it.
And like, well, I love all of her like,
By the way,
like, just got something that brought me how to introduce people thing and like how she
In the
covers-
80s.
Yeah, how she covers like talking about her. Like, if she has to crack.
Yes, yes. And I love that she refers to her husband as, you know, Chuck Morgan. Chuck Morgan, Chuck Morgan this,
Yeah,
so.
all right, yeah.
First day, she said, "He's
Patty, at the end. That's what I thought. Yeah. You're welcome.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it is. Oh, yeah, that's a bad thing.
So she, yeah, she brought me such a word.
Oh, but, so I think in the comments tonight, I'm gonna mention.
Oh, yeah.
No, not really.
That one was-
I'm joking, actually.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Pattern I wanted to go on my bordering sheet.
Right.
See, attached to all the fabric, which is super fun.
Let's see, I don't need that one.
I'm not really sure, the doll this week, the doll of the month is a little bit. So I decided to leave with how we expected.
Good evening. Welcome to the Raymond School District number 14 regular school board meeting on September 16th, 2024. This is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. This meeting is now called to order. It is 6:32. Please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ally, can we have roll call, please? Yep.
All right. Audrey Costick.
Here.
Mike Powers.
Here.
Ed Robinson.
Here.
Janelle Wise.
Here.
Patty Wren.
Here.
Thank you. Verification of public notice pursuant to 19.841 Wisconsin statutes.
The meeting was posted in all the usual spots.
Okay, thank you. We move on to approve the agenda of this meeting.
So moved. I second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda for this evening. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We move to consent agenda. We need to approve the consent agenda items after they are reviewed. So first, we have approval of regular meeting minutes from 8/19/24. I trust that everyone read the minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
I approve the meeting minutes of 8/19/24.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the regular meeting minutes from 8/19/24. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the workshop minutes from 9/9/24. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the workshop minutes from 9/9/24. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We move to business and finance and the financial report.
So the treasurer's report, beginning balance, is it working?
Yep.
Okay, good. Beginning balance is $649,470.03. Accounts payable, $164,300.90. Receipts, $746,184.29. Payroll disbursements, $192,520.34. Journal entries, $300,000. And an ending balance of $1,300,000. $338,833.08. That's it.
I move to the vouchers.
Well, okay, we can do that. We usually
I
just say
just
people.
want to make a note, if I could, the $300,000 journal entry is regarding the state trust fund loan.
Yes,
So
correct.
that was book
That
kept in
brought
this year's books. Yes.
brought forward. Vouchers and payroll for approval. Payroll, EFT and checks from numbers 9000028,479 to 9000028,596 and 11166. Accounts payable checks and EFT 30224000020 through 202400034, and then 202400040 through 202400049. Fund 21 checks, not applicable. That's it.
Okay. Need a motion to approve the financial, we need a motion to approve the financial report?
I'll motion to approve excluding one of the extra zeros. Just kidding.
Sorry.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the financial report as stated without the extra zeros. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We move to the public portion of the meeting. Members of the public wishing to address the board on any topic are required to complete a public input form prior to the beginning of the meeting. Patty?
Jennifer Housen?
Hanson?
Sorry.
I'm always first, you guys. So school board and administrative staff of Raymond School. It's been a rough year in our community, and I feel like there are many ideas and thoughts in the village of Raymond that need to be heard and discussed to find a healthy way forward for all of us. Today, I would like to speak to you about communication within the community. I feel like there are three kind of main groups that I'm talking about. People with children in the district, people who had kids in the district that are grown up, and then the senior population. Whenever information comes out from the district, whether a letter from a school board member or concert invitations, referendum information, or et cetera, families who have kids at school obviously get this information. Seniors receive a lot of this information by attending senior breakfasts. But that middle group of people rarely hear of any of this information unless a neighbor tells them. I think the school board and administration staff need to work out a communication plan to include the whole village of Raymond. After all, we do all pay taxes for the school district, and we all benefit from knowing what's going on. Maybe posting more school information on social media, having an easy place to go on the Raymond School website, or a quarterly newsletter for all district households. I feel the better communication can help bring more transparency to the community about the school, budget, needs, etc. I know I would love to see short articles about recently hired teachers, projects students are working on, and even requests from the community for help. Items such as teacher wish lists, district questionnaires asking our opinions about possible projects, or needs for building upgrades. I really enjoy seeing the newsletter from the Union Grove High School. Maybe using their model would make the Raymond newsletter successful too. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jennifer Rybar.
Over the last several months, board comments of school all around us are having referendums. We have to do this because schools are underfunded in Wisconsin. Our ESSER money is going away, so we need operating money. The presentations have failed to mention the true deficit, the reason for the deficit, and what the referendum money will actually be used for when the budget presented at the annual meeting indicated that the budget for instructional expenses was actually going to be $400,000 less than last year. Isn't instruction why the school exists? Last year's accurate deficit totaled close to $700,000, and this is after the the board decided to bring in the guy who had solid business experience. I'm not quite sure why you would dig into the pockets of your neighbors when there actually has been historic pure pupil increases over the last few years, and they are actually included in the state budget for the upcoming decades. I want to repeat that the Raymond School District is receiving more money from the state pure pupil than it ever has. During 23-24, the district had a 61% increase in pure pupil revenue from the previous year of over $800,000. The 24-25 pure pupil revenue projects a 75% increase in the pure pupil revenue over 2 years, amounting to over $1.4 million. That simply means that the school district is getting more money from the state of Wisconsin each year, and it will continue to get more money for each student in the foreseeable future. What makes this story even worse is that the increases I just mentioned doesn't even take into account the $575,000 of ESSER money that was on top of the pure pupil increases. You have to recognize the significance of this extra revenue, considering that the district received no pure pupil increase for a decade without the fear of a looming deficit. What has changed, you ask yourself? The answer is the decision maker sitting in front of this room.
Raymond.
A forensics audit has been requested and denied by this board. It appears as though you think you are doing everything right. It is not right to change calculations from meeting to meeting. It is not right to not be transparent about how the district got into this situation. It is not right to ask for more money when there is no confidence in what you will use it for approximately at this time. Our students, our staff, and our community are suffering because of your poor decision making. The board continues to distort the story in hopes of convincing their physically conservative neighbors they are in need of a referendum. All of this means Raymond School District doesn't have a problem needing more revenue. Raymond School District has a problem with the board overspending. Instead, the true story is they mismanaged our taxpayer money, and there is no sign that they will do any different with additional referendum dollars. You can't correct your mistakes when you can't accelerate what you have done, articulate what you have done wrong. It is appropriate to suggest that the entire board resign from this position and return their offices to those who care about the legacy of this school and the education it has provided this community for the last 6 decades. Those that will make confident financial decisions in the best interest of the students.
J. Peterson.
Those could be submitted as part of the permanent record tonight. My name is Jeff Peterson, and I've been a part of the Raymond School community for over 50 years. As an education professional, I know math instruction has involved from simple computation and memorizing math facts to mathematical problem solving. I'm concerned that there have been plenty of deficits, no pun intended, of mathematical problem solving that have brought a financial crisis to this district. Poor financial decisions plagued the board. Due to a breach of my contract, the district has underpaid me $19,730 that was contractually due to me. But yet, the same board has spent over $30,000 in legal fees to make sure my contract pay was denied. Who spends $30,000 to make sure the gay principal doesn't get the $19,000 that is due to him? That is not the kind of math that is in the best interest of children or this community. The same decision makers have decided to spend over $1,000 at this point to keep me from accessing my Wisconsin retirement system benefits that I have paid into for the last 29 years. Retirement system benefits that would be of absolutely no cost to the district or ever. Instead, they decide to spend money on legal fees in order to make sure that I cannot access these retirement funds. Do you know what $31,000 could have done for the students and staff of this community? $31,000 could buy 1,550 books for the library. $31,000 could buy 9,687 lunches for students. $31,000 could allow classroom teachers $1,600 for classroom supplies. $31,000 could have sent the entire school to First Stage Children's Theater to see Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer 7 times, and $31,000 could have given each teacher $1,000 towards their health care deductible. $31,000 could pay for the entire staff to receive ALICE active shooter and shooter training. $31,000 could have enrolled Raymond students in the STEAM Future Cities program for the next 30 years. I think it's important for the school board to always make decisions in the best interest of students. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. We move to old business, which there are no items. And we move to new business. And the first one on the agenda is technology update and approval of Skyward Technology Support Contract for 24-25.
Yes. Thank you for having a conversation tonight. We've invited Zoya Rodriguez. Ms. Rodriguez is here tonight to talk to you about her role and what she's been doing here in terms of network management alongside her real job of teaching as well. So working with kids, adults, everything. And tonight we're bringing a resolution for a request to, a recommendation for a $28,000 contract extension for Skyward for the infrastructure purposes, our back-end technology, so our data access points, servers, etc. So Zoe's here to talk with you a little bit about her side of the equation, and then we'll talk about the other side.
So when I was hired as the technology integrator, team teacher, all of the hats that I wear, one of the concerns I had is I don't know how to run a network. And Raymond had actually already hired out through Skyward, which Skyward has 2 functions. So one of them is the software that you, if you have kids in the building, you might have checked their grades on, paid their lunch balances, things like that. But they also have the hardware side of Skyward. And so before I was even hired for this position, we contracted them out to start bringing our system more current and reduce some of the redundancies we had in rules within our system. And some of the ways that we've seen those improvements, even just being in the building, being a teacher in the building, is when I first started with our rep, Austin from Skyward, we would call him every single, I think it was Wednesday at 10 a.m. because our printers would go down every Wednesday at 10 a.m., which if you have ever been in a school, sometimes you have to make a copy randomly in the middle of the day, and it's a big problem if your printers are down. Obviously, there's still problems every now and then, but it's not every week, and it's much less frequent, and a lot of those things are things that we can handle in-house now because the bigger problems have been solved. We also have much quicker internet speed. We had a very terrible outage of internet last year, but through that we were able to find a lot of problems that were in our network with rules that contradicted each other, and all of our computers were set to only 2.4 megabytes per second, which is not very much. And so we were able to fix those rules so that overall, again, there are problems that occur in any system, but overall we have much better usage of our internet here. We also have real security systems in place, so our cameras all function, and the people who need access to them have access to them. In addition to that, we have multi-factor authentication on our accounts, so that those are more secure, and we've implemented security training. Along with that, we got access to accounts, and that was all thanks to Austin from Skyward. When both of us first started, a huge number of our accounts, passwords were not documented anywhere, and we couldn't get into them. There was somebody not even related to our district whose phone number was on our Apple account for our iPads that our students use. So we had the old person had the login, but since I didn't have that password, we had to find this person vaguely connected to Raymond to get into them. And now we have all of those passwords documented, not just with me, but also with our rep at Skyward, and other people have access who need access so that this doesn't happen again. On top of that, again, we have documentation not just on our secure documentation of our passwords, but also on how to do things. So if someone else were to come in, they would know how to get into systems and how to solve problems instead of trying to figure it out, as Austin and I did when we first started pretty much at the same time. And then we've updated a lot of our systems. So our switches and our network systems were very, very old, and that was causing problems. And we updated them, as well as creating a plan to update before things go out and before things go bad. So having a real calendar of updates for all of our systems. And then we've also backed up our systems, so if something did happen, we would have a backup, so we wouldn't lose everything. And then we also have, he helps me deploying devices, sometimes especially at the beginning of the year during teacher PD when teachers come in and they're using their devices for the first time. I am unbelievably busy, I don't have a second to breathe. And so it's really nice the days that he comes in and I say, okay, I need these 3 things done. I don't really have time to do them and he just gets them done for me. He's also great at troubleshooting. I'm only a year into this job. When I first started, I probably emailed him almost every day with how to do things. Now, every now and then, I've tried a number of things. I'm stuck. I can reach out to him. Sometimes he has an answer. Sometimes he reaches out to his network of network people who can help us kind of resolve these problems, which we just experienced with the bell system. So he's kind of like I can handle a lot of things in the school. I'm very techie, but when it comes to really intense network things that are important to do correctly so we don't have a mess, he helps us handle those.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. In fact, one little joke, students thought that in fact, students or staff actually thought that Austin's name was just Austin Skyward.
Yeah.
It is.
So, yes, he's Austin from Skyward, not Austin Skyward. But he's wonderful, and Austin came with his boss, Tom, from Skyward, and they were very complimentary of our system here. They said in just a year's time, a 180 from where we were in terms of infrastructure and systems, and that's largely in thanks to Zoe and her hard work, so let's give a little round of applause for her. It's hard managing a lot of devices, in hundreds of devices. So what we're looking for tonight is to extend the relationship with Skyward. It's an hourly contract that provides us the flexibility to call in when we need to. It's not necessarily a prescriptive 40 hours a week sort of a thing. It's as needed, and as you can imagine, there are cycles, ebb and flow. Summer is a big cycle for a lot of the planning and back work. So again, the goal is to utilize those hours. It's for 200 hours at the going rate of $140 an hour. The more hours you hire, then the cheaper their hourly rate would be for a $28,000 up to, not to exceed, a $28,000 agreement with Skyward. So that's what's being proposed tonight.
And it's extendable, so if we don't use the 200 hours during this fiscal year, we can extend them to the next year.
Correct. So it's really a use it. It's not use it and lose it because they don't want to waste their tech person's time. It's utilize it up to the point you need, and then if you have any carryover, they'll let you carry over year to year.
I have a question for Zoe. In the past, we've had AT&T as our internet provider. Are we still?
Yep, so they're still our internet provider. We have WisNet, which works with AT&T. However, the nitty-gritty of setting up our systems and configuring the switches on our network is what Austin helps us out with.
Okay, good. Thank you. So we will need a motion to approve the contract with Skyward, contract support for 24-25 school year.
And that would be not to exceed 28,000.
Thank you.
I move that we sign the contract with Skyward for a support contract for no more than 28,000 for the year.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve that Mr. Leach can sign the agreement on behalf of the district to utilize Skyward for network infrastructure this year, not to exceed $28,000 to support the district technology needs for the 24-25 school year. Is there any other discussion? No? So all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Can I ask a silly question? What happens if you go over that $200? They just charge us per hour then, or?
They've been very good to us, if you don't mind me answering, because I was here last year. They've been very, very good to us. If we're running near our hours, they let us know. And even if we have an emergency and we have to go over our hours, they'll usually give us the price that we need because we have a good relationship with them.
That's awesome, you know, thank you.
Okay, moving on. Resignations. We have a resignation from Ms. Nicole Burke, the school administrative assistant. You will need a motion to approve that resignation.
Move to approve the resignation of Nicole Burke, our school administrative assistant, with our thanks and gratitude for their service to Raymond School District and our families.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the resignation of Nicole Burke. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we move on to new hires. Mr. Leach, perhaps you can give us
Yes.
an overview of this?
Yeah, we are at a point where we are fully staffed, which is wonderful. I think I said that and jinxed myself about a month ago, so I shouldn't say that anymore. Education has become a very competitive field, so the market is, I guess you could say hot or not, but challenging, we'll say that. So Mr. Sam Iwanski is our building substitute teacher. We're glad to have Sam. He's a recent graduate from the university, so we're excited to have him here. He's been here since really the day after we interviewed him. He really has brought some great energy to things. Ms. Carrie Peterson is a special ed paraprofessional in our K-4 classroom and also helping other grade levels. And Ms. Ella Gradigan is a special education paraprofessional as well in a K-4, in our K-4 and other classrooms as well. So we're swinging in support for our littlest learners, which is wonderful. We have strong numbers in our K-4 this year at 19 apiece, and it's a fun classroom to walk in, that's for sure. I say that having my own 5-year-old at home. It's challenging. And lastly, we're excited Ms. Deborah Peterson has agreed to be our school administrative assistant to replace Nicole Burke. And Ms. Peterson has some great law office support, legal background, and has worked in an office setting for a number of years. So she's a proud grandparent who's going to be joining our team. We're excited to have her. So that's the 4 recommended for contracts for the coming school year.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion to approve extending the contracts to Mr. Sam Iwanski, Ms. Carrie Peterson, Ms. Ella Gradigan, and thank you, and Mrs. Deborah Peterson?
So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the new hires. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I do want to mention that Ella is a former graduate of Raymond, so she's walked in here and some of the teachers just feel a little bit older.
Okay, next we moved on to the resolution for short-term borrowing. Mike, you want to give us an overview?
Sure, yes, the background in this, every year we short-term borrow. The nature of our school district, the timing of school funding has different points throughout the year that you get your money from the state. So in those points of time when our funds dip below certain amounts, we have to make sure we have enough money secured for all of our costs. So we short-term borrow. Many school districts do this. It's a fairly common practice. We do it with a local bank, Community State Bank. We've been banking with them for as long as Patty can remember, prior to 2014 for a lot of our banking, and then we have also done some loans through them in the past, short-term borrowing in the past. So last year, this year, we have a short-term agreement with them. We are looking at a subprime rate of 6.75. Prime is 8.25 today. Who knows what it'll be tomorrow, but the reality is this was the number they gave us today with a loan fee of $500, and that's for $1.2 million in short-term total amount available. We do borrow as we need, so we only pay for what we borrow. We do not borrow the full amount up front. It's just an as you go, and then you pay your amount at the end of the year in your payback. As you get paid by June, all the payments for the year are made up from the year prior. So it's an odd way to fund things, but it's a pretty common way to operate.
Okay, thank you. So we will need a motion to approve the line of credit from Community State Bank. Do we have a motion?
I
I will make a motion to approve the line of credit from Community State Bank for the purposes of operating and maintaining the public instruction in the district during the current year for an amount not to exceed $1.2 million.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the line of credit from Community State Bank for the purposes of operating and maintaining the public instruction in the district during the current year for the amount not to exceed $1.2 million. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we move on to referendum planning.
We are steadfast in our planning now. We're about 50 days out, roughly, from the election. And we're trying to get our information out as much as possible to our community. You'll see in the back of the room, there's some handouts and flyers we're working on, as well as some other marketing materials. We do have some established presentation dates. This is the front side of the postcard that will be mailed to all of our families in the coming week. Basically, every Wednesday between now and the election, except for the 25th of September, because I'm not here, we will have a meeting in the conference room at 9 a.m. We did have some guests last week, which was wonderful to get feedback and thoughts and questions about the referendum itself. And then I will be presenting at the village meeting next week, Monday, as well as the following month on October 28th, I think it is. So be presenting in that venue as well. And then we do have the Fire Safety Day. We'll have some presents there with a table and some freebie giveaway things so that kids can come over and be interested, and we can start a conversation with the community at the Fire Safety Day, which is awesome. We'll be canvassing our families with information, and then of course I do think Ms. Hanson's recommendation of some of the community outreach postings and things will certainly encourage people to hear more about our needs and really try to educate people to make the best informed decision we can. We're trying to provide the information, and people can certainly ask questions and be as honest and upfront as we can throughout this whole referendum process. It's tricky, that's for sure. The concept of referendum funding is a challenge. So we're excited for this. So again, this is just an update to the public.
Before you print too many postcards, there's a grammar error on the last line. Make and informed decision.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Educator to educator. That's good. Make and. There we have it.
And your logo that you have for voting November spelled wrong. It's not here, it's on your site.
It's on the website. On the website,
On your website.
your little logo.
The logo. Thank you. Education feedback. It's good. Spelling. It does still count these days. And don't write it in cursive, or the kids can't read it. But we'll get that fixed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We move on to committee reports, and there are none this month. And so we move to administrative reports. First up, Mr. Leach.
It's been a great start to the school year. It's really awesome to have students back in our building and walk in our halls. I think the adults plan so much around the kids, and then when they show up, it's just a really great feeling to have the energy and the interest in just learning and getting back to school. Staff have been amazing. We have some new staff in the building this year, a good number of people who are new to Raymond, and the feelings that they get, the vibes they have, the day-to-day operations, they're feeling really good about things. Our mentoring is in full swing. Staff that have been here, our veteran staff, have been extremely supportive in helping teach the Raymond way to staff and helping to bring them staff up to speed with how the community works and how our families expect their education to be. So it's really been wonderful to bring this team together. The community's been great, giving a lot of feedback, and I have no problem at all meeting with people if they have ideas. So I'd encourage you to sit down and whether it's spell checking something we've made or just having a conversation bigger about ways to make Raymond better, I think we're definitely up for it. Our admin team is lockstep, doing a great job trying to continue to support our teachers and our students here. Had some growing pains with you can imagine food service is always a challenge with 5 different lunches, and it's a lot of hot dogs. And so we're trying to find ways to bring our service times down. Taher has been great at working with us to try to get service times to a reasonable number. Today we had service times that were less than 6 minutes, which is great across all of our lunches. That's a lot of little bodies coming into this space for their lunch. And all the supervision and all the things you work out on the front end is really set up by administration, but then carried out by teachers and staff, which has been great. Staff are here, they're circulating, being present, and just helping keep this thing, this machine that is Raymond, functioning the best we can. Pick up and drop off has been an experience, I can say that. It's been a good one overall, but just to watch it in every place I've ever been, pick up and drop off is a thing. It's a thing everywhere. But here it's nice to have some system pieces and people who, for the most part, really do a good job just kind of taking the feedback and trying to get in the right lane. It's okay, I'll say this on camera, use the third lane. People don't like the third lane for some odd reason, but it works the same as the other two. We will flush you out in plenty of time. So, I did promise Coca-Cola to several people if it was beyond a 3-minute wait. So we're starting to bribe people now, but it worked out well. It's been really good so far. So off to a good start. So on to, I guess, our next presentation. I'll see if I can run point on that.
I just noticed that it says start of the year reflections on the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
You must have titled that for me.
Yes.
That's kind of not what I'm talking about, but that's okay.
It's
So
curriculum.
we've had a good start to the year. As Mike has said, we've got our teachers going in the right direction, a lot of new staff through our mentoring. And I'll get to some things that we're doing after I reflect a little bit on last year. Okay, oops. Okay, so forward, this is the time of the year we start getting the forward scores. So they've redone the entire thing last year, and now we used to have below basic, basic, proficient, and advanced, we now have different descriptors to measure kids' performances. So the developing, the approaching, the meeting, and the advanced. So you can kind of read the descriptions there. That's one thing that changed, but when I got our scores, I thought, boy, these look really, really good. So I called DPI and I said, this is great. Can I compare these to last year's? They said no. They said, we want you to start over. It's like 2016 all over again when it first came out. So basically they changed everything, the scales, the cut scores, I don't even know what's going to be proficient yet or how we've done. So I have a rough idea of where we are, but really until they come out with those big tables of scores, we're not gonna know. And more importantly, when they come out with the school report card, that's when we'll really see. So it's a new trend for the future comparisons, and they said start focusing now onward and don't compare to last year's. But then here I did it a little bit because I just couldn't help it. So
You broke the rule, that's it.
I broke the rule because I said, what harm would it do? So I mean, this is the amount of kids that are we used to call proficient or advanced. Now it is what is it? Meets expectation.
Advanced or meeting.
Thank you. There we go. Advanced or meeting. So at third grade for ELA, we had 54.5, fourth grade 59. Now remember, third grade is the first year they take it. And ELA, just so everyone knows, is English Language Arts, but it includes writing, reading, and language. You can see the scores for the others, and some of them look very, I mean, that 8th grade score, I was very, very impressed with that. So overall, we're gonna look very good, and we have most of our kids meeting or over that advanced category as far as the standards go. So it's good news so far. Math, here's the math score, sort of the same thing. And the empty year that you see above there is, so we lost some ground everywhere. If you take a look at that third grade class from 2019, when they were empty in fourth grade, and then look what happened to them in fifth grade. So the impact was real, and I'm almost kind of glad we're just kind of starting over and working from there. So what do we do about it? So all we can do right now is await for the state released performance norms and report card to kind of analyze our outcomes. But we have formed professional learning community teams. We're meeting once a month as a subject level team in order to collaborate and discuss best practices and kind of look at our data through common assessments and those type of things as we go, so that we're continuously teaching the standards and then seeing how the kids measure up against that. We are going to also continue our journey on our curriculum review cycle to ensure our students are taught the grade level and subject standards. So again, we're in that social studies review period. We're doing some pilots. We will continue to do those and come up with the results. And we are having weekly grade level meetings to plan lessons and address specific student needs based on test results. Okay. The other huge thing that's going on in our world right now, and I've talked about before, is this right to read legislation, Act 20 as it's called. It's a lot. And we are now giving a screener that's been designated by the state several parts. We have no choice. This is what we need to give. So 4K through 3rd grade, every student gets 4 or 5 different probes. And so it's about 5 minutes one-on-one with each kid. But that's a lot of time. And it's a lot of time for teachers to take out of their teaching day. So we have interventionists and myself helping with that. We follow that up with a diagnostic test. And we are just kind of right in the middle of this. It's big. I think it's going to be good, but these are new processes, and the teachers have been great about working through these things with me. So, with this new testing protocol, there are some good things and some things that are not great. So one thing that you would think would be great is increased mandatory communication with parents. That sounds wonderful. But we had to test our kindergartners. So they came into school, maybe never having been to school before, and some of them are already behind. But we haven't taught them a thing. So this was kind of a dry run, but next fall, if we have to send out letters saying your child is behind, it just hits kind of funny to me. So I want to kind of work on educating the community about that as well. That's not, that's a state requirement, not necessarily how we would see things. So the communication's good though. There's a higher demand for one-on-one testing. That takes man hours, but the tests are more accurate. We have to develop reading plans for students who are below the 25th percentile. So our paperwork will get bigger, but we are probably meeting kids' needs. So that's good. Possible increase in staffing requirements. That's the one that sort of got me worried as we look forward. We have 1.5 interventionists right now. If we're going to continue to have to intervene with more students, that will be a problem. So the best thing to do is implement a good Tier 1 or universal curriculum. So we're not having to intervene. So we are in K2 implementing, it's called UFly, a funny thing, but it's the University of Florida Foundation's curriculum. It's a research base. It's basically phonics, decoding, fluency, and word recognition. So our teachers are starting that. They've already started last week, and that's going to be some good instruction to really get us off to a good start. We had phonics with our Sabbaths before, but this is kind of like the gold standard. And it's mostly free, so that's fun. So that's really all I have as far as where we are. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to email me or call or anything like that.
I just want to point out, thank you for the work with all of it, but Act 20 specifically, I think she deserves a little round of applause on that because it's a mandate, and it's okay that the state's going to get to a spot where teaching literacy looks the same across the state, which I think big picture is a good thing. Getting there is going to be the challenge. Just how do you bring everyone up to speed and then scale it for sustainability? So we don't need to do any of this year. Act 20 is not required until next year, but we're choosing to dive in now to learn and try to figure out the system and make sure that it works well for our students, well for our families, and navigating things like a challenging conversation with a new to school student that has struggled in a screener. That's a tough conversation to have with a family 2 weeks into school. And so how do you have that conversation? And then most importantly, how do you prescribe treatment? Keep coming to school, keep working hard, keep showing up and working with your teachers, and good things will happen. You'll make growth. So in the long game, it's going to be good. But thank you for the hard work on that front.
Can I ask a question? Dana, once you start getting some of this data back,
yeah,
are we, or have we considered comparing ourselves to the other local K through 8 schools? And how do we manage, how do we line up with them? Are we,
So a couple of things. When we get our report card data,
okay,
that is something that we'll know. We will have our surrounding schools and we'll take a look at that. That's from the forward exam. But as far as the smaller screeners, there is a network of individuals that meets. So I would do that. There's somebody from Yorkville, some of the other surrounding schools. So that will be a great time for us to sit around and kind of compare thoughts on this, because we're all kind of just
right.
trying to do our best and see what happens. But if we kind of get together, I think.
We just want to be at the top of that pile.
I understand. Okay, no problem.
Okay. On to our Dean of Students report. Based on the first month, Mrs. Brockman.
Hi, well, everybody's saying we're off to a great start, and we are. It's been a really fun year. It's been great having the students back into the building. Debbie Klein, who's our new counselor this year, and I have visited almost every classroom so far this year to discuss some of our expectations and safety within each class. We're wrapping up these discussions by the end of next week, and we're also really excited to be implementing a new program this year called Student of the Month, where each teacher can nominate one student per class, and each month has a focus trait. And the student who is nominated gets a certificate, and they get a little write-up in the weekly Panther Press that goes out, so it'll be at the one at the end of each month. And then most importantly, breakfast with Mrs. Klein and I, which really just means donuts for the kids, which they love. And so each month has a focus trait, and this month we are focusing on respect. So every day in the announcements, we talk a little bit about respect, and then students are given little tokens. You might see it when you walk in the reward cards. When they walk in, they get tokens for it, and then there's one special student in each class who exemplifies that trait. So we're really excited about that. I wanted to share a little bit about the PTO PAC. They've been hustling to get us a lot of donations. We want to thank them for their work that they did during open house. They invited Auntie A's Sweet and Treats to join us at open house, and then PTO sponsored a free cotton candy for every child that walked through, so we made sure to put it after pictures were taken. PTO also donated individual little charcuterie boxes to the whole staff, which was really nice because we're here late, and that was just a nice little snack. Those came from Homemade, if you're ever interested in reaching out to them. And then what was really cool this year was they brought the Pina food truck, and that families, we got a lot of really good feedback on that, and Pina brought the food truck out without requiring a minimum, kind of as like doing us a favor, and we went well above that, so the PTO was able to get a kickback from that. But it was nice for families to just have like a quick to-go thing. They even added a little cheese tortilla for the kids, which was very popular. So that was that went over really well. I was really excited about that. We're looking to see if we can get food trucks for other evening events like conferences and things like that. They also were able to get a donation from Adam Becker Underground for the sandbox upgrade, which there's some pictures posted on the Raymond PTO Facebook page if you want to see how much we needed the upgrade and what it looks like now. So the kids have already enjoyed playing in that. And they are doing something this year that I think everybody should know about. It's called Raise Raymond Rural, and it's supporting local farmers, and then the PAC earns a kickback. So this last Sunday, they did an event out at For the Love of Flowers Farm, and if you went and you mentioned the PTO Raise Raymond Rural, they got a little kickback. Their next one that we know of is Saturday, October 5th from 9 to 5 at the Orchard Store at Old Homestead. So if you shop there and you mention us, we'll get a little kickback to the PAC. Last week we had the Broncos Give Back visit our school, so we had some alumni and other students from the high school. They helped us pull weeds and water the trees. They helped cut some lamination and make copies, and some of them even went into Mrs. Walsh's music class and sang with the little kids. It was really sweet. We were happy to have them here. We got a very exciting email over the weekend from Mrs. Goodrich that the 5th graders are going to have a visit from the STEM shuttle. We are receiving a sponsorship to cover the $2,300 cost for this to come to our school, and that sponsorship is from our insurance carrier, Delta Dental. lunch, beverages, and snacks for the crew will be donated by South Shore Flooring. So we're really excited about that opportunity. It will actually be out on Election Day. So big day at Raymond, but we're really excited about that to learn more. I think that's going to be really cool. We have finalized our educational leadership team. So participating this year, we have Sue Goodrich and Katie Fueling, Debbie Klein, Liz Lukey, Caitlin Bayer, and Leah Glasheen. These key staff members are going to assist with curriculum implementation and development, engage with key stakeholders, and support team collaboration. We've had our first meeting so far, just kind of a quick touch base meeting, and we meet once a month, or sometimes more if we need to. We are also looking to hire a cheerleading coach for winter and track coaches for the spring. So if you know anybody or you can help us get the word out on that, we've posted on social media about it, but anybody who is interested should contact Mr. Wolf, the athletics director. Lastly, I want to talk about, we invited the Racine County Sheriffs and the Raymond Fire Department to our all-staff standard response protocol training next month. This is taking place on our professional development day, our first professional development day. I've mentioned it in the past, it's a 4-hour training. It is presented by the I Love You Guys Foundation, who were able to find a sponsor to cover the $4,000 value of this training for our staff. So I'm really excited about that. I went to an 8-hour train the trainer session this summer, which peaked reworking our crisis plan. I did a 1-hour training with staff this fall just to get them kind of up and running, but I'm really excited about the in-depth 4-hour presentation that we get for free to our school because it's been sponsored. In an effort to improve our school safety and after looking closely at our crisis plan and upgrading some things, in terms of our practices, we've made a switch from Raptor, which was our old kind of outdated check-in system. You'll notice when you come in now, there is an iPad at the front that is, we're doing a 1-month trial right now, but we're going to be using just one of our own school iPads to run it. And it's called Verkada, which is the same program that we use to, it's connected to our camera system, so it's all integrated together. Zoe has been helping out with that, of course, a lot. And so it's going to scan IDs for all visitors. Every time they come in, it just does a quick background check on them. And then parents can actually use that to sign their kids in and out. So we got rid of that outdated binder that sat in the front. They just sign their kids in. It's kind of like a foolproof system. And then we can make sure that we are keeping track of kids when they are leaving and coming. So we're pretty excited about that. And I'm done. Thank you. Sorry, that was a lot. I had a lot of exciting things I wanted to share.
Thank you all for your reports. We move on to board member comments.
Well, as treasurer of the board, and with all the comments and things that I've been hearing since I've gotten onto the board with regards to the last year's budget, which was before me, just make that clear. But I'm sorry for these issues, and, you know, I want to try to put some of this and answer questions. It's been something that not only I, but a lot of folks want to know, how did we miss our budget? One of the first things I want everybody to understand is the budget from last year compared to this year is virtually the same, except it's down a little bit, okay? So, you know, there's no, you know, increase in costs or any of that thing, so. But anyway, what I want to do is just talk about a few things, and I think a lot of these had to do with Mr. Garvey and his inability to create a good budget, a timely budget. He was very late with getting it in. But this $192,000 that we see, it wasn't booked properly. Actually, it was double booked. So it got counted twice as an income, and it should have only been counted once. So that's $192,000. That's rather significant. The next one is open enrollment. That was, and that's one of those things, that's kind of a crapshoot, where we don't necessarily know at the beginning of the year how many kids are coming in, how many kids are going out. And it turned out last year to be about $97,000 to the negative for us. I just want everyone to understand that Mike Leach has been working the budget this year and going over it. He's been keeping us well informed of the budget process and where the dollars are spent and where we are. He's being conservative with it. So I think that we're gonna be in good shape with the numbers. They're truthful, I believe. But again, budgets are a living document. They change from week to week. The voucher expense budget, that was a miss of $25,000. What is that voucher thing exactly again?
Well, we pay tuition for students to go to schools in choice
Okay,
schools.
yeah. So that was a miss. Other grants and revenues carried forward. $67,000 that was necessarily, we didn't get because them grants had expired, but they were counted. So that didn't help. Special ed, transportation, and tuition. We always build that into the budget, but again, good old inflation and all of these sorts of things enter into that picture as well, as it does in all of these things. But that was a miss of $25,000. And salary and benefits, that was a $306,000 hit, and that was primarily in the cost of benefits. So in reality, these big buckets of dollars, and came up to about just over $700,000 in errors from the budget that was presented in October a year ago. The actual budget wasn't put in until February by Dr. Garvey. Mr. Hayden was not going to do that because Garvey should have owned that budget. I think Dr. Garvey led people to believe that he knew what was going on. He did not include other folks, at least from what I understand, to be a part of that budgeting process. I also have been told by others that some of the admin staff spent some dollars a little foolishly that probably didn't need to be spent, but was. And what those dollars were, we don't worry about that. So there was other unbudgeted expenses. So these were really budget errors. And the next, on this slide, unbudgeted expenses, $141,000. That was the cost for getting Dr. Hayden in here and
Mr. Kemp,
paying for 2 additional administrators in 1 year and
Mr.
just.
Kempen, yeah.
Yeah, and so, yeah, and the principal. So that was a big chunk. And then, of course, the other one is legal fees. And you can all see what that was made up of. Personal issues, threat investigations, recall election, open records request in high volumes, requiring legal advice. So I don't know if people have ever really dealt with lawyers, but lawyers charge by every 15 minutes or 10 minutes, and they charge an ungodly amount for their services. And so we missed the budget by significantly. Typically, the budget has $5,000 in it. We've never exceeded it. Obviously, last year we did. This year, we budgeted $50,000. And I would hope that, we don't get anywhere near that. But these are all the reality of the budgeting process. And so you can see how everything totaled up down there and came to the number that we're at. I feel bad about it. Is one of the reasons that I did run for the school board, was to try to help sort out, well, not sort it out, understand it, what happened. And I can assure you that this board and Mr. Leach, and the whole admin staff is very well in tune as far as watching where the dollars are spent, trying to create a budget that, once we get through this budget cycle, that we build confidence in the community again. That you all see the monies are spent the way they should be spent, and that, you know, we're doing all the right things for the kids. And so far, I feel very, very good about it. So I hope that helps everyone. We can start maybe looking to the future and put this stuff behind us a little bit. So that's it with that. On a good note, though, as everyone knows, I have a few little spies in the school. And my 8th grade spy is just elated with the teaching staff that she has this year. She is just, she's smiling and laughing and giggling and just, oh, I just love her. Can I come to the school board meeting and tell everybody how I like her? No, you don't need to do that. And I am glad to hear, on a third note, that the service time has gone down. Because that's the one thing that the kids have complained about is I only get 10 minutes to eat my food. I don't even get it all ate before I get done. So, I mean, the comment was, can we have more time for lunch? And recess? And a shorter day? No.
And less homework and all of
Yeah,
those
less
things,
homework.
yes.
So anyway, that's all I got. If anyone has any questions, just please feel free to contact me. I will certainly try to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Thank
That's
you.
all I got.
Thank you.
Can I ask one quick question?
Thank you.
Can I ask one really quick question? Just going back on that information you went over, you mentioned that Garvey was allowed to continue working on the budget in January and February after he was no longer a part of the school.
He put the budget
Was that
in.
working with Hayden on that, or was that?
No, that was
he just
strictly him.
allowed in it?
That was strictly him. It was on his shoulders to get that in. So.
Just
that-
a little
that was-
uncomfortable he was in there after he was done with the school, but it was
Well,
just
that,
an
but this budget that we're talking about is what was shown to everyone in October, okay? So what he did in February was, I'm not sure exactly what that budget looked like. Like I say, it's a living document. It changes weekly. I hope everyone can understand that, so.
Can you help us understand then if the budgets that, things that I heard, Ed, which were very great, thank you. I think that, I'm gonna use my words, he was running rogue. And so things that were submitted to the state must have been wrong or inaccurate. And so is there a process to update those or resolve those or refile them, or are there consequences for submitting things that are incorrect?
Well, it's like any budget. I know that in my work, when I was employed, I would throw in a project. I'd say, hey, this project is gonna be $1.4 million. Turns out to be $1.7 million. They still went forward with it. And at the end of the year, the numbers turn out to be what they are, right? That's how that works.
Well, that's why we have no fund balance, which is
Yeah.
why we have to have short-term borrowing.
Exactly.
So it's,
No, we always have short-term borrowing,
well,
okay?
To what
I-
extent?
I
There's
need
fund
to,
balance, I
I
don't
need to
think.
get back to,
But if I can answer your question, there's one, the DPI will allow you one revision. They don't allow multiple revisions. They have a pretty strict process for that. So what was reported in October has been carried forward in many DPI documents. You know, when I applied for this job and looked up the district statement,
Yep.
that was
wrong.
what I saw. So,
Can I ask as well, the charts that you did show up there, thank you, for doing that. Will that be presented at these meetings to the community as well?
yes,
Okay.
so please come.
We're an open book.
okay, are there any other board comments?
Yeah.
Hopefully I can get through this without coughing. Thanks for making me laugh and triggering a fit there for a minute.
Look at the wall when you talk. Don't cough on me.
Yeah, that's why I'm wearing the mask. So I just wanted to reiterate some of the things that we did previously celebrate, but talking about specifically the changes with Act 20 and reading, and having had children in my own household that struggled in this way, I deeply appreciate you taking quick action to implement changes there. I can't tell you what a journey that was for us, for my own 4 students that came through the school. And the fact that you're doing it before it's required so we can learn and improve and make it better. As we learned during COVID, a year makes a huge difference, and I just think about all of those lives that you're impacting right now. So thank you again for that attention. Just overall, just wanted to recognize our administrative team, as each of you were giving updates. You were each beaming with pride for each other, and it's really noticed in all of the ways that you're showing up. I believe certainly community communication, as Jennifer called out earlier, was one of the reasons and one of the passions that I had in coming to the board and being a parent and having 4 kids and wanting to know what was happening in the school. And while I think that we've made a ton of progress, I certainly see your all's openness to collaborating with the high school, seeing what they're doing, and just really continue to appreciate you guys looking out at what others are doing, reflecting in on what we can do better. And so huge thanks for that. I think these referendum meetings that you have set up in the schedule, again, deep appreciation for that. I know we will be involved as board members, but certainly let us know when and where we can attend to try and assist with that. And where any support additionally is needed there. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Janelle.
All right, I guess my turn. I just want to say thank you to the staff and administration of what you guys have been doing at the beginning of the year. Obviously, as Ed puts it, I have my little spy here as well. And we've been coming in, and the Panther Pride, the wraparound program, everything has been going really well. My grandson has been loving it. And it's just been really good to see all the positivity coming in, stopping in, and seeing everything going right now has been really good, kind of reinvigorating, you know, especially how we kind of ended last year, and it was kind of like, oh boy, here we go. So it's really good to see. And I saw Jen came in here from the PTO. I'm probably going to have to bring you guys some sand because my grandson loves to bring it home in his shorts, but it's really good, and they all love it. So thank you guys, and thank you PTO for all your hard work too.
Yeah, can I just mention as well, thanks for the reminder when you talked about your spies. I don't have spies here anymore. They're all doing quite well at Union Grove High School, so thank you for investing in them to set them up for success there. But certainly on the sports sidelines, we get to see a lot of parents and have met some of our new open enrollment families and have heard from those that have younger kids that attend here, and can't tell you like the glowing reviews that I've heard, just how much some of these families brand new to our school who have had experiences at other schools, how much they deeply appreciate the special school that Raymond is. So thank you again. Sorry.
I'm not giving you mouth to mouth.
My husband's here.
Oh,
I brought him
good.
just for that.
That's why you brought him?
CPR support.
Yep.
Well, thanks for suffering through that. You have anything, Patty? Okay. I know that this will seem like a very belated sentiment, but nonetheless, it remains to be said. 1 year ago, this district was in turmoil. Because of a decision based on facts, many emotions emerged. Those emotions were shared in emails to the board. Many were from the heart, and many were from a very spiteful place. Much was said in anger and mostly looking for answers. Please understand that when it comes to employees and or students, these are subjects by law we cannot discuss. I know we are living in an instant information world, but these are subjects that are off of the table. On the recommendation from our attorney, we were advised not to respond to these emails. We, in hindsight, should have, in the very least, acknowledged each email. I know you felt unheard, but believe me, you were. For that, I apologize. And I think I speak for the entire board when I say, as a board, we will always make our decisions based on the facts before us. And that does not mean we are without emotion. We will never make a decision solely on our emotions, but instead critically and objectively. As for the legal expenses, no one could have anticipated nor predicted the prolonged time it took to resolve the situation. And as we sit here, there are still ongoing litigations. The district has an obligation to always protect itself. And lastly, I'd like to say this: no one can understand the significance of being a board member until you sit in this seat. There are no prerequisites other than these. You must be a citizen of the United States, be at least 18 years of age, have no disqualifying prior criminal convictions, and last, you must be a resident of the school district for at least 28 consecutive days at the time of filing a declaration of candidacy. This position consumes a lot of time and requires educating ourselves on the facts, policies, and laws that may affect an issue being brought before us. I commend each of these board members for stepping up to make a difference in our district. Mostly we are just citizens who want to make a difference in our students' academic life. And last, what a great beginning to this school year. The positive feedback has been overwhelming. Thank you to our administrative team, office staff, teachers, aides, maintenance staff, and of course, parents, and the reason we are here, the students, for making this happen. We are off to a great start. Thank you all. I hope all that are present, as well as those listening, will embrace this accomplishment. Our number one goal here is to provide excellence to all of our students. And that sums it up. Next, we move on to announcements or correspondence. Do we have anything? Okay. Scheduling future board meetings. We have a Neola Policy Committee meeting Monday, October 7th, 2024 at 4:15. And this piggybacks with our board workshop, which is also Monday, October 7th at 5:30 p.m. Our next regular board meeting is scheduled for Monday, October 21st at 6:30 p.m. And with that, it concludes our business for this evening. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
A motion. Meeting adjourned. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned 7:43. No, the last month was a record.
Oh, okay.
Not in here.
Audrey, that was wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's a special session to be posted for. It's
Where is my?
going to be starting in just a minute here. We'll go into that meeting and then we'll break into closed session.
Next time she's in town, I'm taking
Oh, yes, we can all go. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I'm so sad to miss it.
I did have somebody text me that they were looking for the live stream, and there wasn't one. Is that something that you guys do?
Oh, it's been going the whole time.
Has it? They
And you
couldn't
can
find
watch
it.
the recording, it'll flip through the recording tomorrow.
Okay,
So I can send you the link.
okay. Or, yeah,
Get posted on that or something.
yeah.
It's on the YouTube, Raymond YouTube channel.
Raymond?
I think we need to post that, or remind people where it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, 'cause I didn't know where it was.
Yeah, on a
Okay,
YouTube star, who knew?
Yeah,
all right, thank you.
I also have my inhaler, so Rich is leaving now.
Yeah, I think they're probably just.
Yeah, I know, but he was, there's a separate meeting, he just announced that we're gonna.
That was good.
I don't know if her last year here. Just letting you know. Yeah. All right. What do you?
Is everyone here? Well, we have to.
Where's Patty?
Patty.
Patty?
I know, I was just gonna tell my husband.
Oh, you can go tell them. We just want to make sure we're gonna. Patty says she'll see you at home.
Should not come home. Yeah, right? There you go.
Just normally we walk straight to the room, but this is a little unique setup though today. Normally we both on both ends, she realized all this.
Yeah.
So it's a special, it is a special.
Special.
Yeah, like it is really.
So it is handled a little bit.
It's not just.
Okay.
So this is how it's gotta be handled.
For this.
Got it.
No. And Layla's been sick. She got sick this morning at the school today. Me, my mom. We're a circus right now. It seems to prefer the females. I had a hundred for Labor Day.
What?
I had a fever today. I was in bed most of the day, but I just like took a bunch of meds, started drinking more of my honey. And I'm like, I can do this.
You sound better now than when you were trying to.
I know. Well, that comes and goes though. It like just catches me and like we can feel it in your throat.
Coffee come out of nowhere.
Yeah. And really, look.
Yeah.
Talking, laughing, like anything. Sure. I do have I should have taken it, my inhaler. Maybe I'll take that. Yeah, go ahead. Maybe I'll do that in the future. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
So,
There's the airwaves.
I'm a mess here. Got cough drop. I also have cough drop.
you know, years ago,
Is it something?